From the savannah to the Midland and the Atlantic, Ambazonia has risen to fall no more. Ambazonia rise.
Dear Ambazonians on the home front and diaspora.
Dear Ambazonia freedom fighters in the home front and in the diaspora.
The Ethics Commission of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia is coming out to alert you that it is becoming more and more evident that the former British Southern Cameroons, aka Ambazonians, will soon emerge as the newest nation in the world.
We are calling on all of us to start preparing to receive Ambazonia as parents prepare to receive their firstborn child. Malcolm X said, tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. We are already very educated, talented, and very rich in natural resources. Do all this guarantee a safe and prosperous Ambazonia? The answer is an emphatic no. Theodore Roosevelt said, to educate a person in the mind but not in morals is to educate a menace in society.
Ambazonians, it is time to start planning to restore our cultural and social values that characterize us as a people of good repute. Before our Republic to Cameroon invasion, we were respectful of each other, of the law, and of our culture. We earned our living through honest hard work, making clean money for ourselves.
Our values helped us to maximize the benefits of our natural resources as well as our human resources. Southern Cameroons were serene and clean, simply beautiful in spirit and in the physical. We all long for such a place to call home, and we can make it happen by God's grace.
Our local government areas and counties, are you preparing? Do you have an ethics commission in your local government areas, counties to serve as a moral compass for you? Do you have a copy of the Ambazonia Ethics Code and the Constitution?
All arms of government, do you have an ethics agency? Departments of DSS, HSS, Communications and IT, Education, DHACM, DFA and DEINR. Do you have ethics agency to serve as a moral compass for your departments?
Ambazonians, you need to know your rights by reading the Ethics Code and the Constitution.
Shame unethical behavior and reward good behavior in your communities. Hold leaders accountable. Be the watchdog of your communities and governments. See something, say something.
The church, you are the main research center of moral principles with the responsibility of moralizing the society. How effective are you outside the church building?
Maya Angelou said, when you know better, then you do better. Ambazonians, watch ethics for an emerging Ambazonia every Friday at 10 p.m. Amba time.
Exclusively on ABC Amba TV. Stay tuned.
You're watching the People's Television, ABC Amba TV. The voice of Ambazonia. Stay tuned.
From the Savannah to the Midland and the Atlantic, Ambazonia has risen to fall no more. Ambazonia rise.
Dear Ambazonians on the home front and diaspora.
Dear Ambazonia freedom fighters in the home front and in the diaspora.
The Ethics Commission of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia is coming out to alert you that it is becoming more and more evident that the former British Southern Cameroons, aka Ambazonians, will soon emerge as the newest nation in the world.
We are calling on all of us to start preparing to receive Ambazonia as parents prepare to receive their firstborn child. Malcolm X said, tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. We are already very educated, talented, and very rich in natural resources. Do all this guarantee a safe and prosperous Ambazonia? The answer is an emphatic no. Theodore Roosevelt said, to educate a person in the mind but not in morals is to educate a menace in society.
Ambazonians, it is time to start planning to restore our cultural and social values that characterize us as a people of good repute. Before our Republic to Cameroon invasion, we were respectful of each other, of the law, and of our culture. We earned our living through honest hard work, making clean money for ourselves.
Our values helped us to maximize the benefits of our natural resources as well as our human resources. Southern Cameroons were serene and clean, simply beautiful in spirit and in the physical. We all long for such a place to call home, and we can make it happen by God's grace.
Our local government areas and counties, are you preparing? Do you have an ethics commission in your local government areas, counties to serve as a moral compass for you? Do you have a copy of the Ambazonia Ethics Code and the Constitution?
All arms of government, do you have an ethics agency? Departments of DSS, HSS, Communications and IT, Education, DHACM, DFA and DEINR. Do you have ethics agency to serve as a moral compass for your departments?
Ambazonians, you need to know your rights by reading the Ethics Code and the Constitution.
Shame unethical behavior and reward good behavior in your communities. Hold leaders accountable. Be the watchdog of your communities and governments. See something, say something.
The church, you are the main research center of moral principles with the responsibility of moralizing the society. How effective are you outside the church building?
Maya Angelou said, when you know better, then you do better. Ambazonians, watch ethics for an emerging Ambazonia every Friday at 10 p.m. Amba time.
Exclusively on ABC Amba TV. Stay tuned.
From the savannah to the Midland and the Atlantic, Ambazonia has risen to fall no more. Ambazonia rise.
Dear Ambazonians on the home front and diaspora.
Dear Ambazonia freedom fighters in the home front and in the diaspora.
The Ethics Commission of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia is coming out to alert you that it is becoming more and more evident that the former British Southern Cameroons, aka Ambazonians, will soon emerge as the newest nation in the world.
We are calling on all of us to start preparing to receive Ambazonia as parents prepare to receive their firstborn child. Malcolm X said, "Tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today." We are already very educated, talented, and very rich in natural resources. Do all this guarantee a safe and prosperous Ambazonia? The answer is an emphatic no. Theodore Roosevelt said, "To educate a person in the mind but not in morals is to educate a menace in society."
Ambazonians, it is time to start planning to restore our cultural and social values that characterize us as a people of good repute. Before our Republic to Cameroon invasion, we were respectful of each other, of the law, and of our culture. We earned our living through honest hard work, making clean money for ourselves.
Our values helped us to maximize the benefits of our natural resources as well as our human resources. Southern Cameroons were serene and clean, simply beautiful in spirit and in the physical. We all long for such a place to call home, and we can make it happen by God's grace.
Our local government areas and counties, are you preparing? Do you have an ethics commission in your local government areas, counties to serve as a moral compass for you? Do you have a copy of the Ambazonia Ethics Code and the Constitution?
All arms of government, do you have an ethics agency? Departments of DSS, HSS, Communications and IT, Education, DHACM, DFA and DEINR. Do you have ethics agency to serve as a moral compass for your departments?
Ambazonians, you need to know your rights by reading the Ethics Code and the Constitution.
Shame unethical behavior and reward good behavior in your communities. Hold leaders accountable. Be the watchdog of your communities and governments. See something, say something.
The church, you are the main research center of moral principles with the responsibility of moralizing the society. How effective are you outside the church building?
Maya Angelou said, "When you know better, then you do better." Ambazonians, watch ethics for an emerging Ambazonia every Friday at 10 p.m. Amba time.
Exclusively on ABC Amba TV. Stay tuned.
From the savannah to the Midland and the Atlantic, Ambazonia has risen to fall no more. Ambazonia rise.
Dear Ambazonians on the home front and diaspora.
Dear Ambazonia freedom fighters in the home front and in the diaspora.
The Ethics Commission of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia is coming out to alert you that it is becoming more and more evident that the former British Southern Cameroons, aka Ambazonians, will soon emerge as the newest nation in the world.
We are calling on all of us to start preparing to receive Ambazonia as parents prepare to receive their firstborn child. Malcolm X said, "Tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today." We are already very educated, talented, and very rich in natural resources. Do all this guarantee a safe and prosperous Ambazonia? The answer is an emphatic no. Theodore Roosevelt said, "To educate a person in the mind but not in morals is to educate a menace in society."
Ambazonians, it is time to start planning to restore our cultural and social values that characterize us as a people of good repute. Before our Republic to Cameroon invasion, we were respectful of each other, of the law, and of our culture. We earned our living through honest hard work, making clean money for ourselves.
Our values helped us to maximize the benefits of our natural resources as well as our human resources. Southern Cameroons were serene and clean, simply beautiful in spirit and in the physical. We all long for such a place to call home, and we can make it happen by God's grace.
Our local government areas and counties, are you prepared? Do you have an ethics commission in your local government areas, counties to serve as a moral compass for you? Do you have a copy of the Ambazonia Ethics Code and the Constitution?
All arms of government, do you have an ethics agency? Departments of DSS, HSS, Communications and IT, Education, DHACM, DFA and DEINR. Do you have ethics agency to serve as a moral compass for your departments?
Ambazonians, you need to know your rights by reading the Ethics Code and the Constitution.
Shame unethical behavior and reward good behavior in your communities. Hold leaders accountable. Be the watchdog of your communities and governments. See something, say something.
The church, you are the main research center of moral principles with the responsibility of moralizing the society. How effective are you outside the church building?
Maya Angelou said, "When you know better, then you do better." Ambazonians, watch Ethics for an Emerging Ambazonia every Friday at 10 p.m. Amba time.
Exclusively on ABC Amba TV. Stay tuned.
From the Savannah to the Midland and the Atlantic, Ambazonia has risen to fall no more. Ambazonia rise.
Dear Ambazonians on the home front and diaspora.
Dear Ambazonia freedom fighters in the home front and in the diaspora.
The Ethics Commission of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia is coming out to alert you that it is becoming more and more evident that the former British Southern Cameroons, aka Ambazonians, will soon emerge as the newest nation in the world.
We are calling on all of us to start preparing to receive Ambazonia as parents prepare to receive their firstborn child. Malcolm X said, tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. We are already very educated, talented, and very rich in natural resources. Do all this guarantee a safe and prosperous Ambazonia? The answer is an emphatic no. Theodore Roosevelt said, to educate a person in the mind but not in morals is to educate a menace in society.
Ambazonians, it is time to start planning to restore our cultural and social values that characterize us as a people of good repute. Before our Republic to Cameroon invasion, we were respectful of each other, of the law, and of our culture. We earned our living through honest hard work, making clean money for ourselves.
Our values helped us to maximize the benefits of our natural resources as well as our human resources. Southern Cameroons were serene and clean, simply beautiful in spirit and in the physical. We all long for such a place to call home, and we can make it happen by God's grace.
Our local government areas and counties, are you preparing? Do you have an ethics commission in your local government areas, counties to serve as a moral compass for you? Do you have a copy of the Ambazonia Ethics Code and the Constitution?
All arms of governments, do you have an ethics agency? Departments of DSS, HSS, Communications and IT, Education, DHACM, DFA and DEINR. Do you have ethics agency to serve as a moral compass for your departments?
Ambazonians, you need to know your rights by reading the Ethics Code and the Constitution.
Shame unethical behavior and reward good behavior in your communities. Hold leaders accountable. Be the watchdog of your communities and governments. See something, say something.
The church, you are the main research center of moral principles with the responsibility of moralizing the society. How effective are you outside the church building?
Maya Angelou said, when you know better, then you do better. Ambazonians, watch Ethics for an Emerging Ambazonia every Friday at 10 p.m. Amba time.
Exclusively on ABC Amba TV. Stay tuned.
You're watching the People's Television, ABC Amba TV. The voice of Ambazonia. Stay tuned.
Good evening and welcome to Undaunted ABC Amba News Conference. I am Star Smart. Let's begin. Today is all about Ambazonia. It's been 50 years of a purported national day. Ambazonia deserves to know the truth behind this day and why the oppressor is desperately determined to have the two Cameroons participate in the celebrations of this lie. Yes, it is a lie. Another vital question that we seek to provide answers during this conference is why Cameroon must come to the negotiating table for a peaceful resolution of the ongoing war in Ambazonia. This news conference is scheduled to take place from today, Monday 16th into Friday 20th of May. Prior to this time, we have exhaustively discussed the historical timelines, setting the foundation for this conference and any related arguments. We have researchers, writers, legal minds, and historians that will be talking to you during this wonderful conference. Today, at the peak of all, Pa Augustine Ndangam opens the discussion with an expose he titles The Non-Decolonization of British Southern Cameroons and the Question of a National Day. We will also talk with Dr. Patience Abiedu, the Secretary of State for Women's Services of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, who will tell us why the women and Ambazonians must boycott the 20th May, respect the lockdown days starting from the 19th and 20th. You sure do not want to miss this for anything. But first, let's handle some latest news topics. We begin our discussion today with the Swiss negotiations. It may seem silent in the media what's happening, what's holding the process, and the critical question is why Cameroon must come to the negotiating table for a peaceful resolution of the ongoing war in Ambazonia. Now let's get to the talk. In June 2019, the government of Switzerland agreed to mediate talks between Cameroonian authorities and the Southern Cameroon's Ambazonian restoration movements in a bid to end the war of genocide that was launched by the Yaoundé regime on the peaceful people of Ambazonia. The ongoing war of national liberation has claimed the lives of thousands of innocent civilians, with tens of thousands of refugees forced into Nigeria and other countries. Millions of internally displaced, thousands illegally abducted and imprisoned, and hundreds of Ambazonian villages burned down by the genocidal forces of Cameroon. This has led to calls from the international community, the United Nations, the European Union, the African Union, as well as countless non-governmental organizations like the International Crisis Group, the Norwegian Council, as well as major powers like the US, Russia, and China for unconditional peace talks to end the conflict. Being a peace-loving people, Southern Cameroonians, Ambazonians launched a non-violent strike actions by lawyers and teachers in late 2016. To press for the legitimate rights of our people, leading to a violent crackdown by the Yaoundé regime and provoking our proud people to pick up arms in self-defense. 6 years into the conflict, with tens of thousands killed on both sides and mostly Southern Cameroon's Ambazonian civilians, there's increased calls from the international community for renewed talks towards a peaceful resolution. The interim government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, led by His Excellency Dr. Samuel Ikome Sako, has long stated that the Ambazonian people under the umbrella of the Ambazonian Coalition Team Act endorses the Swiss process as a sign of good faith in a pan-African spirit towards a peaceful resolution of the ongoing war. It must be noted that it had long been the policy of Southern Cameroonians under the canopy of the Southern Cameroon's National Council, SCNC, to seek for a peaceful resolution to the long-running occupation and annexation of the Southern Cameroons by the neighboring Republic of French Cameroon. This was demonstrated by the long-standing motto of the SCNC, which articulated the force of argument and not the argument of force. It was in this spirit that in 2003, a coalition of Southern Cameroon's restoration movement sued the Republic of Cameroon at the African Court of Peoples and Human Rights, ACPHR, sitting in Banjul, Gambia, 266/03 Kelvin Ngwanz Gumey et al. Cameroon. At the root of this lawsuit were gross violations suffered by the people of Southern Cameroonians emanating from the UN plebiscite of 11 February 1961 that determined the political future of Southern Cameroon. Therefore, in Southern Cameroons, the ACHPR was right in finding that the people of Southern Cameroon qualify to be referred to as a people. In its 2009 ruling, the ACHPR affirmed Anglophone grievances against the Biya government and recognized Southern Cameroons as a distinct people and recommended comprehensive national dialogue involving the Yaoundé regime and the people of the Southern Cameroon. Since 2009, the Biya government's unwillingness to honor this ruling and to rather adopt violence and brutality in dealing with the legitimate demands of the Ambazonian people is what finally triggered the ongoing war. In this respect, and in spite of the government of Switzerland's offer in facilitating an inclusive negotiation process as taxed by a majority of the stakeholders, the Yaoundé regime has remained adamant and has rather intensified her war of occupation, annexation, and genocide against the people of the Southern Cameroons. In the meantime, the Ambazonian Restoration Forces, ARFs, under the command of His Excellency Dr. Samuel Ikome Sako, has continued their fierce resistance to the terrorist genocidal forces of Yaoundé, inflicting heavy losses on their occupying armies in the past years. Just in the month of May, more than 20 terrorist forces of French Cameroon have been neutralized in their attempts to invade, brutalize and kill innocent women, children and young men across the territory of Ambazonia. Our resistant forces will therefore continue to confront and to inflict heavy losses on the enemy forces until the government in Yaoundé realizes that they must concede to a peaceful negotiating process that will examine the root causes of the current war and seek lasting solutions that will guarantee the internationally recognized rights of the Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia people to sovereign independence and statehood. It should be clear to the Yaoundé regime, now that they can't subdue and subjugate the people of Ambazonia through fraud and force as they have been doing in the past, the only viable solution for them now is to come to the negotiating table as demanded by the international community. Before we move on, I would like to announce that my co-host, Onyi Okpala, is back from her medical leave, sound and strong. Let me meet her so that we can expand on these briefings of today. Stay tuned. Once again, you're welcome. As you can see, we have Onyi back. You're looking amazing as always, and it's nice having you here. You're welcome back.
All right, thank you so much. I must commend you for filling in the gap. I didn't miss watching any of the edition, and girl, you did an amazing job.
Thank you.
Thank you once again.
Thank you. Interestingly, you are back at a very special time when we have the Undaunted News Conference. And like we have heralded for weeks now, it is important for some historical facts to be brought to notice. While we hope to receive insights from Pa Augustine Dangam, let's move into Yaoundé in a bit. The question is how an unconscious head of state will preside over the purported National Day. As we speak, some of our sources in Yaoundé are claiming the Biya might be no more. What do you think, Onyi?
It's no longer a secret that Nongi Paul Biya Bivunio Badlomi, head of state, commander-in-chief of the armed forces, and the #1 citizen of La République du Cameroon is sick. Very sick and truly sick. Perhaps no longer alive. Last Saturday, May 14, 2022, the colonial headquarters Yaoundé, with all of its inhabitants and businesses, were held hostage, all roads blocked, for over 2 hours as the big man was being evacuated to Europe for further medical examination. Many sources say Biya is dead, and that images shows that Yaoundé airports were stuck with pictures.
Well, it could be possible that he is dead. Just some questions that I would like us to ask. If all was well and if the genocidal leader and his blood-sucking regime were not hiding skeletons in their cupboard, how wise will it be for the chief celebrant of a day of conquest of Ambazonians travel 5 days to the D-Day May 20th? Some unconfirmed sources say the so-called powerful minister secretary general at the presidency of the La République du Cameroon, Ferdinand Ngongo, is preparing to step in for President Biya when the dictator undergoes prostate cancer surgery. Cameroon intelligence report has gathered from reliable sources inside the Biya family.
The Francophone depot could be out of the political scene in Yaoundé for a month while his soldiers deployed to southern Cameroon continue to struggle with their failing military operations. The devastating effects of the Ambazonian Liberation War on colonial La République du Cameroon are vivid. The state budget has been seized by the IMF because of over-indebtedness, and 5 months into the fiscal year 2022, the budget voted since November 2021 is still on hold.
Reasons why, in a communique issued last week by the Director of Cabinet at the Aturdi Palace, Samuel Mvondo Ayolo, stipulated clearly that celebrations which used to take place in Yaoundé with more than 3 hours of civilian and military march past will now take place only for 45 minutes. The popping of champagne and the usual senseless merrymaking at the Aturdi Palace, which used to take billions of francs CFA taxpayers' hard-earned money, have been suspended. All because of the uncertainty looming in La République du Cameroon. On May 4th, at the La République du Cameroon presidency, Samuel Vondo Ayolo, director of the civil cabinet, presided at a top security meeting, bringing together those who matter, the top notches of La République du Cameroon's hit squad, all contemplating whether to celebrate this day or not.
But before that time, some unconfirmed sources had even declared the octogenarian monarch dead several times. Remember when Biya was declared dead in 2004? He gave Cameroonese 20 more years to remain in power, and that his prophecy has 2 more years of fulfillment in 2024. La République du Cameroon and France are capable of keeping his dead body and to make an official statement only in 2024, especially now that Ferdinand Ngongo, the all-powerful SG of the La République du Cameroon presidency, and Chantal Biya, the First Lady, are dictating the pace in the day-to-day running of the state's affairs today.
Like I mentioned earlier, it's all about Ambazonia. But let's just take a brief analysis from Mr. Tapadi King, our news director, before moving on. Mr. Ta? Mr. Ta? I would like to hear a confirmation.
Yes, can you hear me?
Okay, I can now.
Perfect.
Okay, so, you know, it is always nice to have your analysis on reports like this. Concerning the report you just heard, what do you think?
I think I wouldn't want to belabor too much time on that. It's been challenging for us to connect Pat Dangam. He's already connected now. Daddy, as you're watching this program, I want to seize this opportunity on behalf of Undaunted Crew. So thank you for opting to be a part of this time when our generation has been lost in a lot of fraud, deception, and you're coming to as an eyewitness, a historian and researcher, to bring some clarity. It is not in my place to present you. The Secretary of State for Communications and ID, on top of the hour, will be presenting you as you speak. That is a shoe that is too big for me to wear. I don't want to worry too much talking about Yaoundé and Biya. He's dead or alive. Doesn't make any difference. He's a demented Confucianist. I don't think he has any memory. But the question and the critical question you asked during your report is something I want to talk about it very waveringly. Why are they so desperately willing to keep Mr. Biya on seat? He's a stooge. It is not easy to get a stooge. Bago wasn't a stooge and he was removed in Cote d'Ivoire and Ouattara was put in place. He's a stooge. He is not a person. He's a system. A lot of criminals, the Bolos and the Betis that have embezzled a lot of money. A lot of things are surrounding Biya. So whether dead or alive, he can still be kept in a 2D. But does that change the result of Ambazonia? No. Biya, I'm not sure, even if he's still alive, he's really not alive. A man that is alive and that should be a president is somebody that has a mentality, that can think, that has a brain, an active brain. President Paul Biya, the octogenarian, does not have an active brain. So whether he is dead or alive, I repeat, it's of no interest to Ambazonia. I also want to react very quickly. I know Dr. Peshen will be talking about that in just a few minutes to come. We've just received an audio from the fraudster. I'm talking about Chris Arnold. He is now showing his real colors. I told you that this man is a liar. This man is not a good communicator. The other day he told you that we're going to be having the 20th May from the 17th. It's all a fraud. It's a lie. Now he wants you to believe that Cameroon has sent in soldiers to arrest our innocent people. Am I saying that Cameroon loves us too much and they will not arrest our people? No. But I'm saying that it's strategically wrong for Cameroon to send to arrest our people now. Why? Cameroon wants normalcy, and therefore they want people to go out and to celebrate the 20th May. Am I saying that the interim government calling for just 2 days lockdown is wanting normalcy? No. The interim government strategically, as a government that listens to the people, that thinks about the people, does not want to suffer the people for too long. Our people have been suffering for close to 6 years. And when we have an opportunity and we think that it is not necessary, you don't lock them for 5 days. The people will only be locked down on the 19th and on the 20th. I want to reiterate, stop listening to Chris Arnold. He's a liar. He lies. He's not a good communicator. And all of what he's fabricating right now is just to get you some fear for you to stay home. No, Ambazonians, tomorrow I will exceptionally be live at 7 a.m. Amba time so that we can enjoy the day. Do not allow anybody to deprive you from the enjoyment of Tuesday and on Wednesday. You are supposed to lock down only on the 19th and on the 20th. And on the 19th, the President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia will be addressing you. He has to tackle some very important issues. Is it Restoration Council? What do they call it? Revolutionary Council ideology. That's Siko Julius Ayuktabe. Now, some Confucianists are trying to bring Wiba into something that he doesn't even understand, something that he has never accepted before. They want to bring him into the discussion and to try to force it in the minds of Ambazonians. But this generation is more educated to know what is the difference and why the interim government is the best choice for the peoples of Ambazonia to take now. So the president is in his high office to make very categorical statements, to bring us down history and to bring the argument on top of the platform why we should just despise that whole idea. It's not even an idea that should be given credence to. First of all, because some of the individuals talking about these ideas, they are deceptionists, they are dishonest, they know it is not workable vis-a-vis our argument in front of the UN Security Council. They know that we are a people, we are a nation, we have a flag, we have an international boundary, and it is a fallacy. All of a sudden, after having restored an independence that was stolen, where there was a government, for us to start talking about a revolutionary council. Without any waste of time, Mr. Smack, Onyechi, you're welcome back. You're looking very beautiful as always. Thank you for coming back and for getting on duty. I want to hand over the mic with you so that you can continue with the news. I'm also made to understand that Dr. Patience is very available right now to talk to you people. So just rush the news and get in touch with these people, because on top of the most important person we want to talk with, everybody's important, but the most important information of the day, the main speaker of today is Pa Augustine Dangam. And you all know that his bones are weak, his muscles are weak, but he has dedicated this time to talk to us. Thank you, Daddy, once again for choosing to join this broadcast. We are grateful.
All right, Mr. Pardy, before you go, can I ask you just one more question, or do you want me to just move on?
I don't mind. Go ahead. I don't mind.
Okay, so I was just thinking, what could possibly be the reason why the kingmakers are desperately holding Biya in office, even as he is dying? What do you think could be the reason why they are still holding Biya in office?
Like I said, you have their interests are affiliated. You have the Southerners, I would say the Ewonas, the Mbakazoks, the Sawas. In fact, there's a lot of stakes ahead from within the Cameroon. And even France is not very sure of Camto or any successor of President Biya. France is yet, from every indication, you realize that the imperialist is not sure of who is going to take over President Paul Biya. Is this going to be another recalcitrant like Gbagbo did? Are we going to have a system whereby it will be so open for Russia to kick them out? Perhaps Cameroon is already trying to negotiate that, because you understand that a few days ago we're reporting that Cameroon is signing a deal with Russia. All of it is just to fight Ambazonia. But if you look at it all, President Biya is not there because Cameroonians love him. I'm talking about French Cameroonians. He is not there because even the politicians love him. If he lives there, there will be war. There will be civil war. That's a fact. And some of the stakeholders are afraid of their stakes that are wrapped around him. So there's a huge confusion. We're going to create a special slot just to talk about this. I'm not sure Biya is alive. That's my opinion. It is strange to see that during the National Day, just 5 days away from the National Day, he is going to be traveling abroad. What is so urgent that will make him travel? So I cannot give you a very specific answer as to why they are keeping him there, but you should understand that whatever reason they are keeping President Biya there is vicious. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And I'm sure that you already know that we will definitely get to the root of all of this. Of course, we are undaunted. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
to an Ambazonian, what kind of change is needed at this time? So Smart, talk to us about May 20th and the national lockdown.
Well, 20th May remains a day of mourning for Ambazonians, a day of provocation. It is actually a day that the colonial master carefully designed to taint history, and they are seeming unapologetic about it. As colonial French Cameroon braces up to celebrate 50 years of captivity, enslavement, subjugation, annihilation, annexation, and assimilation of southern Cameroon's Ambazonia on May 20th, it's high time for every bona fide Ambazonia to mourn and rethink strategies on how to unite our forces on deck under the SACO-led interim government. More than ever before, poised to deliver homeland from over 60 years in bondage.
As a matter of fact, it has not been easy cohabiting with La République du Cameroon, a neighboring colonial country that has proven beyond every reasonable doubt to be a strange bedfellow, feeding fat from Ambazonia and yet calling Ambazonia and Ambazonians names. The Anglophone Cameroonian whom I brought into the Union have been ridiculed and referred to as low Biafrans, low enemies, dull mission, low threats, and many others. And the constitutional provisions which protected these Anglophones minority have been suppressed, their voices drowned, while the rule of the gun has replaced the dialogue, which Anglophones cherish very much. This is from Dr. G. N. Froncher's resignation letter to Yaoundé on the 9th of June 1990.
Njumba No Be Married by Mola Njoli Tumbe. The best way to keep Cameroon one is divisible, Archbishop Fontem Esua. In reactions to statements as such unveiled the frustration of a people who feel pain and betrayal. Fame Ndongo, La République du Cameroon's colonial minister of higher education, would say, "You people came on your own." Laurent Esso, La République du Cameroon's justice minister, highlights, teachers and lawyers will go back to class and court when they will be hungry. Okalia Belai, colonial governor provocative, added it up, cats, dogs, and rats. These are titles given to people who have their own boundaries internationally recognized.
I really can't wait. Let's talk to Dr. Patience Abiodun now. Dr. Patience Abiodun is the Secretary of State for Women's Services of Ambazonia. She is here to talk before we receive the main speaker of the day. Hello, Dr. Patience. How are you doing today? Please confirm you can hear me loud and clear.
I can hear you.
Oh yeah, nice
The
to have you
problem
here
is
again.
picture lag. The problem is the picture lags and the voice comes afterwards.
It's okay, that can be handled. Thank you. All right, please tell us, why should the Ambazonian women and Ambazonians in general boycott these 20th May celebrations?
That is a great question. And it all goes back. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I will just go ahead and speak. We know that Pan Dangam is coming to tell us the history, but I will just give a brief information of what I know. 20th May is a fraud history. It is a fraud because we know that on that day, on May 20th, 1972, the then former president, Amadou Ahidjo, decided to get rid of the federation that we had, which was not even working in the first place, and impose a unitary government. But the problem is this, that our people have been suffering all along. Our people had been analyzed. All the institutions that we had in the country, the banking system, the great hospitals, the great educational system, the infrastructure, were all being destroyed by Ahidjo's government. And they decided to just assimilate us on that one day to make us non-existent. So that the day that we know as our own Independence Day, October 1st, 1961, exists. The day that they know as their own Independence Day, January 1st, 1960, ceased to exist. But for what reason? For the reason that a whole people that had a unique culture, a unique way of doing things, they were ethical people, just had to be dissolved. It's just like what they wanted to do, take two cubes as they call us and dissolve it in water. We're strong people, we're proud people, we're decent people. And what happened after September and October 2016, when the teachers and lawyers went on the strike, followed by the war that was imposed on us, and our people being killed in their numbers, our people as refugees, our people internally displaced, our land being seized. That is no reason to celebrate. Why should any bona fide Ambazonian or Southern Cameroonian take part in such a celebration? In fact, over the years, we were all brainwashed as students. We respected that day. I remember as a student in primary school, secondary school, to go and march, and we were looking forward to 20th May because we didn't know any better. We didn't know any better. And now our people are learning the history, and they realize that you cannot go and celebrate a day that makes no sense to you, that no you. And the fact that it was even fraudulently gotten, when they had that ballot for people to go and vote or yes, and they decided that 99.9% people voted for yes, of course, you probably get 100% because every vote is a thing. That's the craft of the Frenchman, and that's what Aijo did to us. So our people have suffered a lot. And the most important reason we should not celebrate that day, on the 17th and on the 1st of October 2017, our former president, Seseko Ayub Tabi, announced that restored our independence. So we have a government, we have our flag, we have our boundaries, our territorial boundaries, we have our anthem that we sing proudly. Why should we go and recognize a day that has no significance to us? The only day that we can rise and respect as value, that our sons and daughters are being killed for every day, is October 1st. So May 20th is a taboo and has no relevance to any bona fide Amazonian. Thank you, my dear Onye.
All right, thank you so much. I'm sure Star has a question for you as well.
Thank you so much there for that insight. With what you've said, Dr. Patience, I'm sure a lot of Ambazonians now see why the 20th May is more of a day of mourning than celebration. On Monday last week, we announced that the Department of Women's Services, working in collaboration with Storm's Publishing House Communications Network, presents Fanaticism Revealed War on the Ground, featuring you, Secretary of State for Department of Women's Services, House Speaker of Interim House of Representatives, Dr. Winnie Lobati, and Ma Emma Endele, Director of ABC Amba TV. The date is for Friday, May 20th, 8 p.m. PT, 11 p.m. ET, 4 a.m. Amba time. Host Miss Asia Storm. War on the Ground brings international awareness to the plight of Ambazonians. You are invited to join and comment during the live show via Facebook and YouTube link to be provided by Storm's Publishing House. We also highlighted that ABC Amba TV will most probably be beaming the show on satellite from the home front, for the home front, to participate as well. We promise to bring you Lady for an interview, and Dr. Patience is also here, like you know. Right after this video promo, Dr. Patience will tell us a little bit more about her show. That is what I want to ask more about your show, but right after this video promo.
All right, my patients, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
All right, so Star was asking for you to share insights, more insight about their talk show that you're supposed to
Yes.
Be a part of.
Yes, thank you so much, Star, for that question. The promo that what we just saw was of Emma Endely, who is going to be one of the guests on that program. Storm's Publishing establishment is one that is supposed to bring international recognition to our plight. We know we Ambazonians, Southern Cameroonians, we've been speaking amongst ourselves. And this Ukraine-Russia war is, I would say, maybe a blessing in disguise, because of the Russian-Ukraine war, other people that have had problems, that have been in war, in warring situation, are wondering, why is there so much talk about other wars, about the Ukraine-Russian war and other wars that have existed longer are being neglected? So this lady, Miss Tom, is willing to host Southern Cameroonians, Ambazonians, mothers, women, and also one lady from Ukraine who's going to talk about the Russian-Ukraine war. And the idea is to have people all over the world listen to the program, comment on the program, and this information will be forwarded to the Vice President, Kamala Harris. And that is our goal. Because Ms. Tom is one that believes that war has no place in civil societies. War has no place in any area that you have people that have just the goal to pursue a life of happiness and freedom. So she has made it her goal to reach out to anybody who is going through war, to bring it to the limelight for change, for the purpose to make sure that those who are perpetrating the war or causing the crime be revealed, be shown to the world to stop killing innocent people. That is her real goal. And this lady is a blessing to us Ambazonians. In fact, 2 years ago, she had started something that she invited us to her Zoom, and she invited a lot of Americans to her Zoom. Gave us the opportunity to talk about the war in Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. That's how to know her. And over the years, we've built a good relationship with her that she's willing to take our story as far as possible with the outcome that we desire, that La Republique goes to that table. Because we even realized that on the 1st of January 2021, just a year ago, the United States passed resolution resolution 684 that basically said that the separatists, which is what we are called as Ambazonian separatists, and the government of La Republique go and sit down without any preconditions and solve this problem once and for all. So this information, this talk show that is going to take place on the 20th of May, it's just a coincidence that it's taking place on the 20th of May. It has nothing to do with what is happening in La Republique. It could have even taken place on the 6th or any other day. So it's just a coincidence. I just want to get that out. The other guest on the show will be our Speaker of the House, Dr. Winnie Lee, of course, Emma Endele, and myself. And then we have this one lady from Ukraine, who's going to be talking about the Ukraine-Russia war. And looking forward to it because we think that this will take us somewhere. This will make our suffering, especially that of our women. You know, they say women bear the brunt of every war. And if you think about it, about all who have lost sons and daughters and husbands, all the women in their old age that have left homes and are refugees, when this is the time of their life that they should be settling down and enjoying their grandchildren and children, they have no homes. Think about baby Caroles, baby Martha, all the young children that we've lost. This is all going to be exposed. She wants to see all the graphic, all the barbaric things that are happening on the ground. She wants to see them on that show, and we intend to give it to her. Thanks for that question, Star.
All right. All right, thank you so much for that detailed explanation. Okay, I think you have something to say.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am. We need to get Paul Augustine Dagam already. You know, of course, he's been waiting. We need to get him on now. Thank you so much for making yourself available. We'll definitely get you some other time on Undaunted News.
Before I leave, may I make one more comment, please?
Sure.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Yes, I just wanted to say something briefly about the lockdown. I know that Patty King came on and talked about the fact there was some other news going out about a lockdown longer than intended. So the interim government has declared just 2 days for the 19th and the 20th. And I just want to remind our people that the only time our government lock down than 3-4 days is when there is some international relevance to that lockdown. This happened during the AFCON games when it was necessary because of international reasons, and also during the Antonio Guterres lockdown when we had an extensive period of lockdown. Other than that, there's no any reason to give lockdowns that will make our people suffer for no reason. 20th May is irrelevant. We just want our people to know that they don't have to celebrate that day. So it makes sense to just have them to commit to 2 days to stay home and do fun things at home. And remember that 20th May has no meaning. So make that extra knowledge on the difference between extensive lockdowns and lockdowns that are just for 2 days, and of course our usual Monday to Sundays. Thank you for having me, and see you both. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And now we continue with the news. As you know, we have a very important personality in the house. He is a researcher, writer, and a historian, Pa Augustine Ndagam. So smart. Who is Pa Augustine Ndagam? Tell us, please.
Ambazonian born Pa Augustine Ndagam Ba Nkom Gwanwa studied English language and literature at the Federal University of Cameroon and at the School of English of the University of Leeds in the United Kingdom. Between 1979 and 1995, he worked as a high school administrator, eventually serving as principal in Wum, Kumbo, and Bamenda, respectively. He taught at the Higher Teachers College ENS Bambili and later at the Bamenda University of Science and Technology. Ba Ndagam has been an active community leader who has consistently championed and enthusiastically supported initiatives aimed at the development of Baliyonga and improving the welfare of its people. He was president of Baliyonga Development and Cultural Association, Bandeka, for Bali local government area from 2004 to 2008. He was the keynote speaker at the 2004 BCA USA Convention in Minnesota. As a community organizer, he led efforts to ensure that Baliyonga had a water system that was autonomous and self-sustaining. In recognition of his leadership and distinguished services to his community, he was raised to the traditional nobility of Nkom by HRHVS Galega II in 1981 and named Nkom Gwanua the Fawn's Eye in tribute to Honorable Galega II, Ba Ndagam, and 4 other fellow Baliyonga scholars co-authored a seminal book on Baliyonga culture, history, and traditional politics. He is a published poet and writer. His books with British co-author David Ware has been one of the English language textbooks for children in primary schools in the Cameroons during the last 3 decades. He is a member of Kanvi and Sungyi Ndakums respectively. He is a married father of 6 and grandfather of 8. He is the head of the Ndagam family of Tikali, Baliyonga.
We can't wait to have him tonight as he will be speaking on the non-decolonization of British Southern Cameroon and the question of a national day. Our news director, Tapa the King, will make a more formal presentation of these patriotic statesmen and servants of the nation. Over to you, Paddy.
Yeah, good evening, and thank you for bringing it back to me. I just want you to confirm with me that Pa Augustine is connected. Is he connected already? Is he still connected?
Yes, he is very well connected.
Do you want to also confirm that his sound is okay?
Right, we'll do that confirmation right about now.
Okay. Like I told you earlier on, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Ambazonians, it is a very big shoe for me to wear. The Secretary of State for Communications and IT is normally supposed to present Pa Augustine Ndagam for you people. And I'm also made to understand that he's not yet connected. You know, he's a busy man. He's been working on some issues. I understand earlier on he had a discussion with the president. I'm sure that is the purpose of the delay. I spoke to him about 30 minutes ago. And can you confirm with me that the Secretary of State is connected? This is very vital. I think the Secretary of State should do it if he's connected. Is he connected right now?
We haven't seen that connection yet, sir.
Okay. If he's not connected and Pa Augustine Ndagam is connected and waiting to talk to the people, I think the Secretary of State will have the honor to conclude the program of tonight when he is available. We cannot keep Pa waiting for this long. He was supposed to come up earlier on. But Daddy, you're watching, your children speaking to you. You have been a scholar for decades. You have enhanced education in both Cameroons. You understand the history that you were born into, a history that you lived in, a history that some of us have only read. There is no person that is on this platform tonight that can really and audaciously talk to us some of the facts and to give to us reasons why we must boycott the 20th May. I spoke with you earlier on yesterday, and you told me that you will be talking to your people today, and this is what you want to talk about. You said you will be talking on the known decolonization of British Southern Cameroons and the question of a national day. I don't think I can even elaborate on that. I want to be grateful for your book. Your book is a good plus for me for my research. You actually have documented a history of Southern Cameroons like few have done. That's a history that was restricted from us while we're going to school. I remember writing the GCE ordinary levels in history. It was a total difference of what I am reading from your book today. And other scholars and researchers have confirmed, even Cameroon is confirming that you are speaking the truth. And what they told us prior to this day was a lie. Today, the floor is all yours. There is no better presentation to give you than what the anchor ladies did earlier on. You may want to talk to Amazonians more about yourself, but Amazonians know you. You are more than an elite. You are a father to Amazonia during this time. Please talk to us. We want to hear you. You have the floor. You can speak for as long as you want. Tonight is your night. Thank you very much for opting to join us at Undaunted this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Director. Thank you for those kind words. And thank you for having me on this program. The remarks that you and your team made, I share with it 100%. If you ask me at any time, especially that we are armed conflict, and in the last 61 years, our country has gone through a dark days. It's the dark page of our history. If you ask me one problem, what is the problem? What is wrong in our country? And there is war, and there's conflict. I'll trace it to one event, and that event is the decolonization of Southern Cameroons. And we want to be more specific about that topic. That country was a United Nations Trust territory, and like all other trust territories under the international trusteeship system of the United Nations, it was programmed to be decolonized. The others were decolonized, including the Republic of Cameroon. Ours, up till today, has not been decolonized. It is the central problem for Southern Cameroons. And whatever else is a problem in Southern Cameroon draws from that. And coming to the remarks that you and your team have been making, if you ask me one person who is the problem, at the center of the problem between the two Cameroons, mincing words, that President Biya is the problem, is the central problem, and we don't wish anybody to die. We pray for everybody to live his course that God made. But as far as there's a problem between the two Cameroons, the one person who is the origin, the source, the center of that problem is President Biya. And he is not the solution. He is not the source of the solution. He is the problem. Full stop. He was misled to declare an invasion of British Southern Cameroons. He was misled. Whoever told him that you solve a political problem with the barrel of the gun was wrong. And that is not going to be the solution, no matter if this struggle goes on for the next 100 years. Violence will not solve a political problem. So I wish Mr. Biya will live and see our country free itself from what he thinks is a successful annexation. I pray God gives him the extension to see us come out of his clutches of annexation into a free people, and he will realize his mistake, that he should have come to us for us to talk. The African Commission in Banjul gave him the opportunity, the offer to facilitate dialogue, talk between the two states. And that was an opportunity for us to sit down and talk and solve the problem. His team, the team representing the Republic of Cameroon, accepted. We accepted. I led the Southern Cameroon's team. We accepted, they accepted. We were given time to prepare, and at the end of the 6 months, we came to Banjul to begin the talks, and they gave a flimsy excuse that they were not ready, that the written invitation calling them for these talks arrived Yaoundé only 1 month earlier, and they needed more time to prepare for the talks. And they asked for time extension. That time extension was given 6 months, and that 6 months has dragged on till today. At the end of the 6 months, President Biya instead organized to go and celebrate whatever he called it in Boya, 50 years of something event that never happened between the two states. Anyway, if he is well, we wish God will care for him. If he's alive, we wish he will see the point, his zero, that you don't, in this century, solve a political problem with guns. You don't point guns to a people, you want to build unity with them. That does not happen. It has completely changed the dynamics of what the people of Southern Cameroon gathered in 1993 in Boya and sat in the AAC conference. That conference, spontaneously attended by 5,000 to 7,000 Southern Cameroonians, ended the conference by calling for a restoration of the two-state federation, for which the people of Southern Cameroon, and they only, voted in the UN plebiscite to establish. They called for that unanimously. That was the Boya Declaration. But Mr. Biya turned his deaf ear to that. Typical of dictators. He thinks that what he says must go. But his attitude 1 year after that he did not respond. He ignored that call. The AAC too in Bamenda took the stand that if he continued to ignore the call of the Anglophones, they were going to revive their statehood, their independence. The independence that we are talking to revive and have done so is something that the highest body, the highest organ of the United Nations, formally granted to the state of British Southern Cameroons. That independence was granted Resolution 1608 on the 21st of April 1961. As the director has announced, I thought I should talk on what I have said in my mind is the central problem between or for our country. That central problem is the fact that as a United Nations Trust territory, even going back to our country as a League of Nations mandate, the purpose of the League of Mandate was to develop all the mandated territories as international territories, to develop the people towards freedom. So I will begin from the date that is significant in our history under the mandate system, June 26, 1923. On June 26, 1923, a British Order in Council divided or partitioned our country, the British Cameroons, into two. That date is significant because of the partition of the British Cameroons which was one territory from the ocean, from the Atlantic Ocean to Lake Chad. It was one territory. The British partitioned it into two, a northern part and a southern part. And under the League of Nations, that territory became two territories. Throughout, between the First War and the Second War, what should have been today one single country became two. We want to ask as Southern Cameroonians whether that was for our own interest. Was it in our own interest or in the interest of the colonial administrator? I will not say it was for our interest or for British interest, but let me go on, and you, the listener, you will discover it yourself. But at the end of the Second World War, the United Nations was established and the trusteeship system came into operation. And the trusteeship for the new system under the United Nations, each territory was put separately under the trusteeship agreement. The trusteeship agreement for British Cameroons was one. It was still one. So we were still a one single territory under the trusteeship system of the United Nations. But the important point comes when it was time to decolonize. And what was decolonization? Well, when you were a colony of some power, of some foreign power, as we are now, under the Republic of Cameroon, we came into an association, political association with the Republic of Cameroon as equal status with them. They accepted us to join them as equal states. This was not a verbal arrangement. It was an agreement, a written agreement, signed, written agreement, and signed by the two states. The state of East Cameroon, or the Republic of Cameroon, was signed by their Prime Minister, Mbida, and the state of Southern Cameroon, it was signed by Dr. Foncha. This agreement is not a secret because it was published. That is, these two states had agreed that if the United Nations plebiscite, the plebiscite that the United Nations was going to conduct if the result came out in favor of joining the Republic of Cameroon, it will be on the basis of equality. It will be two equal states. Southern Cameroons did not go into joining that country as two provinces. The agreement, the written agreement, was that it will be states of equal status. And years earlier, before 1961, the head of that country, the prime minister, first prime minister and first president, assured the United Nations, and this is what he said at the United Nations: I should not like, this is Ahidjo speaking at the United Nations, I should not like the firmness and of our stand to be interpreted as a desire or intention on my part, which nail to the hopes of our brothers on the British administration. Bring the weight